Real JP Multimedia, proud sponsor of the Nerdball Podcast. Here to help you with all things audio, video, graphics, photo, web design. From weddings to real estate, commercial business to private use, we offer a big variety of services for almost any budget. And if we can't do it, we will find someone who can. Find us at realjp.com. That's REELJP.com. Real JP Multimedia.
Hi, this is Andrea Monheim with the Nerdball Podcast.
This is the Nerdball Podcast with Lorenzo Melcher.
All right, awesome. Well, Andrea, thanks for coming on the podcast tonight.
My pleasure.
I've just known you through track and a little bit because I used to go into the junior high,
Right.
And talk to kids there. But I don't know. Besides that, I don't know anything about you. So this would be a fun podcast for me to get to know you and figure out basically where you came from, where you grew up, and all that stuff. So before we start all that,
Okay.
The one thing I have people do, sometimes I forget, even though it's the Nerdball Podcast. What's something you've been really nerding out about lately? Something you're really into, a hobby, be it cooking, I don't know if you like to draw or some art stuff or whatever you've been into. The only thing, it can't be your job. It can't be anything you do on a daily basis or semi with coaching, but something that you just do to get away from that.
Wow. This kind of has to do with coaching, only because the World Championships are on and I haven't missed a single thing.
No.
So even stuff that has been on at 4 a.m. I have taped and watched the next day. So that's kind of nerdy.
Where is that taking place at?
It was in Track Town, which is Oregon.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Eugene, Oregon.
Okay.
So.
What do you just don't want to miss anything? Do you like it all?
No, I like it all.
Yeah.
I like it all. It was pretty fun. But as far as summer goes, I read a lot because during the school year I can't. So.
Yeah.
So.
What do you like to read? Anything? Or
I like historical fiction.
Okay.
So.
Historical fiction.
Yeah.
All right. So what is what is that? Or what are some books that you like to read?
Well, so I get into like different modes. So for a while there, I was into the Holocaust, and then I was into right now I'm into the Amish.
Okay.
So
Amish. Wow.
hey, so I'm reading Amish mystery things.
Okay.
But it's kind of fun to like read them, even though I know that a lot of them are fiction. But when they're historical fictions, they're based on certain people or certain lifestyles or certain eras.
Yeah.
So then sometimes I look up to say, how much was that true? You know.
Does that like ruin it for you, or do you?
No, I like some of it when it's really good.
Okay. All right.
Like there's what is it? I can't think of it. I can't think of the actual name. I'll probably think of it in the middle of the broadcast. But there's one about blue people, and it was some like the lady from the blue lady, the book lady or the book librarian, and it was literally about people with blue skin. And I thought this has got to be fake, but it's true. There really was people. It's a genetic disorder. So anyway.
So not only do you get entertained by the book, but also after the fact when you're looking stuff up.
Right. I'm like, oh, okay, this was true.
The first thing I thought of when you said historical fiction was Dan Brown. And his books.
Yes.
Did you read those?
I have, yes.
Yeah. Those. So I was not a huge reader. I got into reading shortly after high school, and I read all of those books.
Okay.
They were really interesting. And then I bought like the deluxe editions because I need pictures because I don't know what he's talking about.
Right.
So it has all these pictures to reference, like, oh, this is this thing, this is that, this building or whatever.
Right.
It makes
This
the book-
art picture.
Yeah. So that's why I like movies based off books, because if I read the book, then it helps me understand all this other stuff.
Me too.
Yeah.
The book's always better, but yeah.
That's what everyone says. To me, it is. I don't know. I'd rather watch something. Someone can tell me the book.
Right. Audio tape.
Yeah, that's why I like listening to podcasts. Someone else talking to me. I don't want to read the words.
All right.
Yeah. So you said you're watching the championships. Is there a particular event you like more than any other event? Just watching, not even coaching, just watching.
Well, I love watching the relays, the 4x1 and the 4x4. But I also like watching the 400, and I like I love all the sprints.
Okay.
Pretty much the 1, 2, 4, 8. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, it's crazy to me too, because when I was in high school, like, I saw the 1 and the 2 as sprints. And I never really paid attention that the 400 is also a sprint. It's just
A long sprint.
Yeah. And then in high school, I always thought they classified 800 as middle distance. I don't know if that's true or not.
It is.
I remember
It
that
is true.
correctly.
Yeah.
So I never saw that. But when you get to that level, it's a flat out sprint for two laps.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. That's what I'm praying.
And it is, oh, did you really? Okay, yeah, that's insane to me. Like not the people that do it, but like to do that.
I know.
Yeah. So to do that or to see them run that is amazing to me.
Yeah, well, America just did so well.
I heard they did most medals ever or something.
Yeah. I mean, we swept the 100 for the men. We swept the 200 for the men.
Okay.
And we had a world record for the females in the 400. We had the gold in the 4x1 and the 4x4 for the women, and we also had 4x4 men's gold. I mean, and our throwers did really well as well. Really well.
Yeah, I thought I saw. I'm assuming it was that track that someone beat Michael Johnson's 200.
Yes, that was the 200. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Lyles, yeah.
Yeah, he was there too, right?
Yes, he was. He was.
I saw a picture of him.
Yeah, he was commentating.
Oh, was he? Oh, I didn't know. Wow, that's cool.
So it's even better.
Yeah, I always like, and most of the time this is the way it happens. Whenever there's records broken or whatever, the people who had those records are always like excited about it.
Right. Yeah.
I would never see like, yeah, your name's not in the history book anymore, but that sport you did is getting better.
Right.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah, it was the picture was pretty neat. It was him and the guy who broke his record. I thought that was pretty cool. So let's start. You had mentioned you ran in college, but before that, where did you grow up?
Well, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version.
Well, we had an hour, so.
Okay. Still, I actually I was in foster care for some time.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I was given up originally. I was taken away at about 2.5. Went into the foster care, and then I was originally adopted. Then unfortunately I was given up again.
Oh wow.
So
How old were you then?
the second time
Yeah.
I was 15 days before my 9th birthday.
Wow.
Pretty obviously traumatic. I
Yeah.
remember it.
Yeah.
So that was a little rough.
Yeah.
And then I was adopted again when I was 9. Well, technically 10, but I was in their home when I was 9. So,
Okay.
so yeah. So, but then from there, I lived in Waterville, and I went to Anthony Wayne.
Okay. All right. So, and you don't have to answer any questions that I'm going to ask you. Why were you originally, when you were 2, you said, taken
Yeah.
away?
It was just a bad home situation.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
I was 2.5, and I was found on the street. So.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, that's. I had a mom, or I have a mom. I don't know. She's still with us. She was an alcoholic. She's been sober for I think almost 2 decades now. But that was when I was older. I was already almost. I was in high school when I was aware of it, so I could cope a little bit easier because I can kind of fend for myself. But I can't imagine. I mean, they found you on the street at 2. Do you like? Can you even remember any of that, or just
Not that, but I remember being 4 and in court waiting for one of my parents to show up, and neither one of them showed up.
Wow.
And then I was put in. Then I was back into I was a ward of the state at that time.
Yeah.
So I remember certain things like that. You remember, and I remember some of the foster care, and I remember that I went to St. Pius for a couple years. That's over by DeVilbiss. So I was in Toledo for a while.
Yeah.
Lived there for a few years. But and that was, believe it or not, and I'll jump to the future. I just met my biological mother last November.
Oh really?
Yes.
Was that something like you really wanted?
Well, during COVID, I actually kind of I got on Ancestry.com,
Yeah.
and because it's really bored,
Yeah.
had nothing else to do, so I put in my original name and everything like that, and I actually found my mother. But actually, the really cool thing, the best thing about it is one of our school counselors, she wouldn't mind it, and she's so excited. When I was doing this, Nicole Wagner, who's a counselor over at HBI,
Yeah.
and we're really good friends. She was at the junior high before she moved over to HBI. She was right next door to me, and she said, "Get on your Ancestry.com right now." And we're cousins. We're 30 cousins.
Oh wow.
So that's the best thing that happened. And we were really good friends. And we were like, oh my God, we always would joke because we were like, oh my gosh, we do stupid stuff. You have to be related.
Oh, yeah.
Joke.
And you were.
And we were.
Or are.
Yeah, we were.
Wow. Yeah, it's so to. And I think it's important. Like when I talk to high school kids, even like I let them know things about my past. And my brother passed away from drug overdose. My mom had alcohol. Like because every kid goes through that. It's some little thing. You know, hopefully not more than they can handle. But I think if they have adults or coaches that look at, hey, I've been through things like this, or I've been through tough times, they can kind of like lean on them or talk to somebody else besides their parents.
I actually tell my story because there's obviously more to it, but I tell my story to my athletes, my track athletes, every 4 years, so they hear it at least once when they're there. Yeah. So. Yeah,
and like I said, it's important to know like this coach that I love so much is the best person, and will do anything for me and it's in spite of this past.
Correct.
And
absolutely.
So that's cool. I didn't know that. That's really neat.
Yeah.
When you said you were you adopted? Officially adopted, and then someone gave you up again?
Yes, it was.
When you said you were almost 9?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I went to kindergarten. I was adopted in like April.
Mm-hmm.
It was right before I was 6. I hadn't been to school at all.
Okay.
Very hit or miss. So I couldn't say my R's and my S's, and I had a big speech impediment, and I couldn't read. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And so I got into a lot of trouble at school. Honestly, you can see why I'm a counselor. So, so I got into a lot of trouble for such a young age. Eventually, I was arrested when I was 8, and my father at the time, who they had adopted me, was a police officer.
Oh, really?
And he said I was embarrassment to the family, so they gave me up. So
that's how long were you there?
I was there for. When I was 5.5 till right before I was 9.
Okay.
So I had a sister and a dog and a neighborhood and
a family. Yeah, and like you said, that age.
Very impressionable. Yeah.
Yes.
But
and obviously you remember it, so it's it's a hard thing.
Well, yeah, I was in kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade.
Yeah.
At that school, and it was a Catholic school, and. Unfortunately, my older sister was like the perfect child, and I was not.
Yeah.
I was far from it. But I was just, I think, having so much difficulty in school that I was just a wild, crazy kid and went on the streets and just met with some not very good people.
Yeah.
So, made some poor choices.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, and then when you got adopted for the final time.
Yes.
Those people, I'm assuming those people are still in your life right now? Or
sadly, no.
Okay. Right.
Actually, she's no longer living, but she was an alcoholic and was very abusive.
Oh wow.
So actually, she died 2 years ago, and but at that time, my brother and my sister and myself, it's not just me, hadn't seen them for 12 years because they were so abusive when we were little.
Wow.
So as we got older, we decided. One Christmas was so horrible. She was an alcoholic, and she just probably has a mental illness, pretty guaranteed.
Yeah.
And we saw her doing things to our children. We're like, we just can't. And we said, we can't see you anymore unless you go get some mental help and go to alcohol AA. And once you do that, we'll see you again. And we never saw them again.
Yeah. It's amazing to me that you, like you said, it's no wonder you're a counselor because you know what that is and you can help. But just to be where you're at, like, because that's a lot. I mean, one time is enough, and you were around 3 different families that basically, were not good for you.
Correct.
And it's I'm almost speechless. Like it's to hear that and to see you and to see how you are. It's amazing.
No, thank you. Yeah. But God has led me into this direction. So I see him as my mother and my father. Yeah. So I don't need any others. So
well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Just try to be a good mom myself. So
yeah.
And a good mom, it doesn't mean just to my own children, but to all the ones that come into my office or step out on the track.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Do you still talk to your brother and sister from?
I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's good. Are they around here? I should say.
Yeah, yeah. My brother lives in Ann Arbor.
Okay.
And then my sister lives in Brighton, Michigan.
Oh,
so
nice.
Only an hour, 20 minutes. But
Yeah,
we're still close. Our families still get together, and
That's another thing too, to have like the other family members be like, no, we're with you. We're not going to be a part of this either.
Right.
Because it
was not easy.
No, and it's hard. I mean, I think when my son was 2 or 3, I told my brother, like, you can't see him anymore. I just can't. I don't know what's going to happen. And, and he looked at me and said, okay, I'm going to get better. And he'd go long spurts without using. And so we'd get back together and stuff. But it was weird when I told the kids what happened, they had a bigger reaction for when we told them we were putting our dog down than my brother, just because they weren't around him that often.
Yeah.
And I'm glad the amount of time they were. And I look back and I kick myself sometimes, like, man, I wish they were around. We were around them more. But at the time, that's what I thought I had to do. And I can't.
You're trying to protect your children.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so, yeah.
And it's tough. Like you said, it's a tough decision.
Not an easy
no.
decision, no matter what. But
No.
you're just trying to do what was best for your kids, and that's kind of what we were all decided to do. What was best for our kids.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And even my grandma who just recently passed away, she was a really good grandma, but she's my mom's mom. She was not a very good mother. And my mom would say that. But she said despite the relationship with her and her mom, and her dad was really mean. Her dad and my dad never talked. Despite all that, like, my parents still let us go over there because they were really good grandparents. And that's another thing too. Like, man, we have this horrible relationship with, my parents or my dad and his in-laws, but we're letting our kids go over there because they're really good grandparents. And that's another tough thing too. Like, well, what if something happens, or what if, what if we would have said, like, no, our relationship is so bad, you're not going over there either. Like, that's all that I can't fathom, like, having to do things like that. And I did it on a smaller scale, but just to
but at least you can relate. I mean,
yeah. It's very difficult.
Yeah,
so
for
I
sure.
can see that. So did you grew up in Anthony Wayne? Is that where you went to high school?
Yeah,
too?
that's where I went to high school.
Okay, and
So yes, our greatest rivals.
now,
but I try not to tell. No, it was a great school. I did well there. It was fun. Yeah.
Did you do other sports besides track?
Just track and cross country.
Did you? Okay. What, you didn't like basketball, volleyball, any of that stuff?
No, I actually kind of liked volleyball, but
Same season, just cross country, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun, but yeah. No, I liked all sports. I was actually, before as a counselor, I was a gym teacher. So
really?
I love sports, all sports.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How long were you a gym teacher for?
7 years at the junior high, and a health teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you just said, nah.
Well, I stayed home to have children.
Okay.
And then during the time I was, I went and got my master's in counseling and came back as a
Oh,
counselor.
nice. Okay.
So,
all right.
yeah.
So you were in high school. You did cross country. You did track. You went to college for this. How was you deciding to where to go for college, or what was the process? Because for now it's anywhere from like, I want to do it, so I'm going to go where there's a spot from where you walk on scholarship, whatever, to someone's going to give me the best scholarship ever. Like, there's just a huge wide range of things. How was it for you? Like, where did you fall, and how did you find a college?
Basically, because my parents were not going to pay for it, they didn't. I was looking for money.
Yeah,
But I narrowed it down to BG, OU, and Findlay were my top 3 choices, the ones that were like pursuing me the most. So I went with Bowling Green. So.
And how fun was that? Like,
it's a blast. I loved
to
it.
feel wanted and like to go to these places, and
it was cool. It was very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, recruiting was fun.
Yes.
To go through.
I always tell anybody I don't care if you're gonna play Division III, whatever, at Division I at the highest level, but take all your recruiting, take everything you can, because I did a little bit, but my parents had no idea what was going on, and I didn't know what to do. But the limited things I did was so much fun.
Oh, very fun.
Yeah, I went to the football coach at BG took me to a basketball game and stuff. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. I wish I would have gone to more schools.
Yeah, for
After I did, I'm like, should have said no to the other UT and all the other ones.
I should have had a couple more visits, a couple more lunches, something.
Yeah, a couple more dinners, a couple more nights out with the team.
Yeah. So what was it about BG that drew you to them?
They really did have a family atmosphere, and I really liked connected with the other ladies on the team. So it was really good. It was so hilly.
Yes,
It was very hilly. I'm like, wow. Because I was more, even though I did cross country, I was more of a track person. That was my thing.
Okay.
So I was like, I have to run these hills. It's terrible.
And then on off days or before practice, you got to walk them to just get the class.
Right, I'm gonna be tired before I get to track practice.
I remember visiting. Well, I would visit Scott
It was beautiful.
down there.
Oh, I know.
too,
I
and-
tease him all the time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun down there.
Yeah, it was.
Does BG still have a women's track
They
team?
do. It's the men's they got rid of, which is so
all right.
sad.
Yeah. It's, I mean, those auxiliary sports that just,
I know.
They just fall by the wayside. I mean, BG baseball almost,
Yeah.
was out.
I know.
It's-
I met my husband there. He was.
Oh, really?
They still had track in cross country for men back then.
Okay.
It's really sad to see it go.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you go down there or go around and watch BG meets or whoever?
No, because right now it's in my seasons, but we have.
That's right. Yeah.
We have gone to go see former athletes that have been there. Yeah, when we don't have a meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one thing, and we'll get more into it, but that's the one thing that's changed even from, well, I say even when I was in school, but that's almost 20 years ago now. But like, just the amount, like what you do, like meet wise. Because I think I remember we went to like 2 or 3 invitationals, and then there was a lot of duels and tri meets.
Right.
And now it's like all invitationals, it seems like.
You're right. Right. In track, there's only 4 duels, and then like 9 to 10 invitationals, and then
crazy.
that's just the main season. And then you have what we call the competition season, which is NLL districts, regional, state.
Yeah.
So a whole nother month after all of that. Plus, we do indoor now. Which
Yes.
we never did that.
Yeah. I remember, I think I did one indoor meet when I was in high school.
Okay.
I just remember, I think it was down in Findlay.
Yeah.
I remember being with H and throwing those weird rubber shots.
Yeah.
But I just did it one time. But it wasn't, indoor track wasn't nearly as big. I mean, you guys have
no.
practices now.
Oh, it's
and
huge.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for those ones who, this is what I want to do.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So you started, so after you graduated, was there any like aspirations to like, I'm running at BG and I want to run this other beyond BG?
Honestly, yes. I had received a letter to run at the Olympic trials in '92, but we had wedding plans.
Oh, really?
We graduated in December, and then we were getting married in February, and so I don't know, just was ready to move on.
Okay.
And I mean, I was ranked like, I don't know, 64th in the nation. So I was like, you got to be top 3 to make the team. I don't have a chance. But it was, it's still cool to have the letter or whatever.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, vaguely thought about it, but
Okay.
not too long.
Do you still have that letter?
No.
Oh, no. You said it like you just recently got rid of it.
Well, somebody may have gotten rid of it.
Oh, no.
before me.
What? Oh no! Like you said, hey, it's okay to get rid of it, but I can't do it, or they did it, and you're like, hey, what happened?
No,
to
they
this
burned it.
Oh my God, you first.
Yeah. So that was a while ago. I'm sure you can figure out who
Oh
was that.
no!
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I should have made a few more copies.
Sure. But
that's okay.
You remember
It's in my
it.
brain.
Yeah, and that's really cool. I mean,
it was cool.
Like you said. For me, like I was ranked like 64th. That's like awesome. Like all the 800 you said, 800
Right,
runners.
it was 800.
I mean, that's top 100 in the entire country. I mean, that's
nothing
to sneeze at, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we did have one other guy on our team actually go, and he we were at the same age, and he was like, he made it to the finals, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's really cool.
That's cool. And I understand, like you said, you were done with it and you had your wedding and stuff, but just the experience of just go to it.
I know. Sometimes I do regret that. My husband and I always talk about it because he took a job as well, and we were thinking, because I still had eligibility and my coach could have coached me a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I still had an indoor season and a track season, so I could have been coached, but and then he's like, I could have stayed and gone and got my master's. So we kind of like talk about it, but it's hindsight. What can you do?
Well, you also think about now is I mean, that one change could have changed all kinds of stuff later.
Right.
I always think about that stuff too. When someone asks like, "Are you regret not playing football?" I was like, I think it would have been cool. But I played from 8 to 18, and I had one back surgery, almost another one. And I don't think I would have met my wife. Like
you
all
just
this
don't
stuff
know.
that you think about. after the fact. So I always said, I was like, no, there's no way. Because I would have been, I don't know what would happen, but I wouldn't have been where I'm
No,
at.
and I got that job at Perrysburg right away, like right in August.
Oh,
So
did
I
you?
would have missed it. I wouldn't even been able to apply for it because I
Yeah.
would have been training.
See, even that thing.
I wouldn't have been at Perrysburg.
Yeah. So you were a gym teacher, you said, right out of college? Mm-hmm. And you were there for 7 years. How long was your break to have children?
6.5 years.
Yeah. Was that,
took off.
it was that like, hey, plan from the beginning, like when we decided to have kids, this is what's going to happen?
No, actually, I had Taylor in February, and so back in the dark ages, you could use all of your sick time and stay home.
Okay.
So keep in mind, so she was born in February.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go back until the last 9 days of school.
Okay.
Then I had the entire summer. She was 6 months old by the time she went into daycare.
Yeah.
She went to a babysitter, but she was 6 months. She was sitting up and all that stuff. It's totally different now when it's like 6 weeks.
Yeah, and you're like, all right, we got to go back to work. Where the baby can't even move yet.
yeah. Can't even look at you.
Yeah.
But it was hard. It was really hard. So like a year and a half later, it was really had a difficulty. And so eventually I actually quit in the middle of the year because I just couldn't take. She would cry and I'd cry. So my husband and I were like, well, if we're going to stay home, then probably should have the other one soon. So they're like 3.5 years apart,
Okay.
but it worked out. And so,
You have
so
two kids? Mm-hmm. Okay.
son Andrew, so Taylor and Andrew,
Okay.
both went through Perrysburg. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, so it was fun.
And once you figured out like, hey, we're gonna stay home, we're gonna have our second kid. When was it? We were like, well, I might as well change what I'm doing also.
Well, I had kind of thought about it when I was teaching health. We have that emotional social unit, and like kids would stay after. I'd tell them little bits. And so I felt like I was counseling. I was like, I should just do this because kids stay after all the time just to chat with me, and then I have to write them passes all the time to go to the next class. Or can I eat lunch with you? Can I tell you my story? And on Mondays we would just have it ended up just being sharing days. So I was like, okay, I probably should just do this.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought about that I would do it eventually, but then I was like, oh, it's definitely convenient to do it when I was home. So
that's my favorite part about anything I do is when someone's like, hey, can I talk to you? And it's like you think it's going to be about track or football or something, and it's like something totally different. And I love that part of it because I feel like that's when I can help the most, right? I'm teaching you how to block or catch a pass or whatever. But if something if I can help you with something beyond these 1, 2, or 3 years you're going to play football, then that's what I want to do.
Yeah, I like those close relationships that you can get beyond the sport.
That's the one thing I loved being the head coach of the freshman football team, but just knowing everybody, and being in charge of the whole team, knowing everybody. And then moving up to varsity, I was like, I know my guys, my wide receivers at the time, now it's tight ends. Like I know my guys very well. And every so often, I'll see an offensive lineman that I don't know. What helps is I coach a JV on Saturday. So I can't just be like, hey, I got to try to work a little harder.
Right. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Number 11.
Yeah. Big guy, come here.
Little bigger guy.
Yeah. So, but that part of it, and it's really cool to hear like people want to stay or and then you just change the whole day to be like, hey, we're going to share today, and this is what it's going to be. And people and kids that age, were they like open to wanting to do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I call them Monheim Mondays.
So. Oh, nice.
So.
Wow. So
we did learn some things, but we always left time at the end to share. So they knew that they could share. It was a safe place to share. So
you said it like you're retroactively going to get in trouble.
You're right. Sorry, principals.
We did learn.
I swear I did all the standards.
Oh, that's fun.
Might have gone real fast with a few. No.
Sure. That's all right. How difficult? I mean, you have 2 kids at home. How difficult was it also to get your master's with 2 kids running around?
It was fine. I think it was probably easier than if I was working and had the 2 children.
Okay.
Because I could, while they're napping, type my paper.
Yeah.
Go to bed, type my paper.
How long was the schooling process?
2 years.
2, okay.
And I did go in the summer too, because that helped. Because then my husband was home since he was in education, so I took the massive amount of classes in both those summers.
Man, that seems like a lot. I was at UT where I go to school for free. That's where I used to work, and I still didn't take classes. I tried one and it just did not go well. I was like, I can't do this.
No.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of schooling. I always tell kids, I got my 2-year degree. It took me 4 years to get my 2-year, and I'm good with that.
Hey, now look at you.
It's
Look
gotten
what you
me,
do.
yeah, it's gotten me really far. So I'm very pleased.
Hey, school's not for everybody.
100%.
There's so many different avenues.
I was just gonna say one of my favorite things is Penta.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love Penta. I had Bob Falkenstein on
Oh,
here.
yeah.
We talked all about Penta, and I was trying to tell kids, and I always, one of my favorite things to do during the football season is talk to all the seniors just while we're at practice. Like, hey, what's your plans for next year? What are you doing? And some they know exactly what they want, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Some don't, and I try to tell them, like, your parents probably won't like me saying this, but it's okay if you don't go to college.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay if you don't know. I didn't know, and I wasted $10,000. Like,
Yeah.
there's easier ways to not know and figure it out.
Well, my son, Andrew, who lives in Nashville right now, he went for 6 months. He went to Kent.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I don't want this. This is not for me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And he's successfully moved out when he was 19 and has been on his own and doing his own thing,
Yeah.
entrepreneur thing. So, and that came from two educators, imagining how nervous he was telling his two parents that both were like, educate.
Yeah, yeah.
But we're like, no, it's whatever works for you.
Yeah, and as long as you see there's some sort of path to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And or at least, like, I'm in this seemingly dead end job, but this isn't where I want to be, mom and dad. This is just for now. I'm saving money for X, Y, and Z.
Right.
It's my parents always liked, especially my dad. My mom was a lot more like a freelancer, but my dad always seemed like he wanted a plan, or he would make the plan for us in his head and not tell us. So, like, he worked at GM for 31 years, got there when he was 18, retired when he was 50. Like, that was, so he, like, every job we had, it was, oh, this is going to be it. And then we get another job, like, wait, you just had a good job. Yeah, but this one's a little bit better. And then that's going to be it. It's like, wait, you were at UT, you had really good benefits, all that stuff. We go, yeah, all that benefits are the same now at the Metro Parks, and it's a little bit better. Like, all these, it was a little hard for him to take. And
I bet.
I'll tell you what's even harder, and my dad's probably watching, is when I was in the Metro Parks, I was union, and then I went into management, and I'm not in union anymore. And I told my dad that, and it was like so heartbreaking for him, being at UAW for 31 years. And
Right.
So there's, in his head there was plans, but ultimately he understands where we're at and what we're doing, and he's happy about it.
I do think times are different, though.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's just many more opportunities, and hopefully kids are starting to learn that it's not the 4 years that you have to go to. I mean, if certain, obviously, degrees like education, you have to, but there's so many more opportunities out there now. And they're so good.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, that Penta with all those, they can walk out of there with job experiences that they wouldn't get if they would have just gone to regular high school. But
yeah, it's like you said, there's a lot of opportunities, and even when you go to college, like, kids are afraid sometimes to change their majors too. Like, hey, I want to go to college. I did 2 years of this thing, and I'm just not going to change it because it's going to set me back so much. Like, okay, we're going to get 4-year degree and not like it? Like, what? How does that work?
And you always feel like saying it's just 2 years.
Yeah.
When you're like 50, will it matter?
Yeah.
No, but if you stuck yourself in that and you're in the job that you hate, it will matter.
Yeah.
But if you go for it. Yeah, my husband graduated in sports management.
Oh, okay.
And hated it.
Really?
Absolutely hated it. And he ended up going back to school to get his education degree.
Yeah.
So it was worth it because look at where he is now. He's teaching and coaching, and now he's a dean of students. So, I mean.
Yeah.
But
I was just talking to Adam Oros, who graduated a few years ago.
Yeah.
He's a volunteer for us coaching. And he was, I forget what his, I think he was going to be like he wanted to be a surgeon or orthopedic surgeon or something like that. And he went, did a couple classes, and he's like, I do not want to do this. But he figured out early, and he switched to education because he wants to coach, and he likes teaching, so he switched it. But he switched it early. But I don't think, like you said, it doesn't matter. Like, if you get so far, what's 2 years? My wife has a 4-year degree, and she doesn't really use it. She just has a 4-year degree.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
Or they have one, but it's not even in what their job's not even close to what they're
in.
So.
Yeah. She has it in marketing, and she doesn't do anything with that. She used to a little bit, but apparel merchandising and product development. That's her major.
There you go.
Yeah. It was fun. She enjoyed what she was doing, but it's a big decision, and it's such a big decision for an 18-year-old to make.
Oh, I know.
And I wish I would not have gone right out of college, but it seems like we have to sometimes,
Right.
You know, or they have to.
Right.
And I'm trying to help them realize, like, hey, I'm telling you this, your parents aren't going to be happy about it, but if they're going to be mad, they can be mad at me. I don't care.
Right.
So when you went back to school, you were a counselor. And how long have you been in that position now?
Oh my goodness, since 1998. I
Okay.
think.
All right.
Yeah, I think. No, that's when I left school. So like 2002 or something. So
Always at the
like
junior high?
20 some years. No, I was at Woodland for 9 years. I was a counselor at Woodland
okay.
Elementary. Great school, awesome school. But then they opened up a third position, and Dale Wiltsey, the nicest person ever, convinced me to come. How can you say no to Dale? He's so nice. So then I moved up to the junior high, and I've been there ever since.
Do you find I feel like little kids are pretty open because they don't know what they're saying sometimes, and you can find a lot of information out. And as they get older, they're like, oh, they might be saying, oh, I shouldn't be saying this, or I don't want to say this. Was it easier to get information out of little kids, or is it about the same?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No. I think the older kids want to talk to somebody, and especially if it's a neutral person.
Okay, yeah.
So
You find because you're like the counselor, they just assume like, well, if I'm talking to her, if I'm seeing her, I have to talk.
Probably. I don't know. I've never asked them that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I just feel like
they know that I'm there to listen, so I guess they know that they're going to talk.
Yeah.
If they volunteer to come down. So sometimes it's not a volunteer. So
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you too. How does that become you have to go see the counselor? Just discipline stuff?
like if they're upset or sometimes there's discipline, but it's really more of a let's teach, let's not discipline. Let's see if we can talk through good decision-making skills.
Okay.
So sometimes the principal will say, hey, it's not quite me yet. I'm going to send you over to Mrs. Monheim and talk through things first. So,
Is there still 3 counselors there now?
no, there's only 2 because there's just 7th and 8th grade. We really need 3. We could use 4.
Mr. Bucher?
Well, it's not him. Yeah, Mr. Christie, who's now our
Oh, there you
our
go, HR guy. Yeah.
He
well,
knows.
Well, Mr. Bucher can vouch
Let's
for
do
you
it.
guys.
Oh, he
right?
does. He will.
That's, I mean, everywhere, especially.
Oh, yeah, it's not just our building. Every
But
place.
especially in positions like that, the more people you have to be able to like, not only like, hey, we can serve more kids this way, but also like maybe there's boys that want to talk to a guy, or maybe there's not that you guys are bad, or maybe there's just like I feel better with this other person. You know, if there's more options, maybe that would help more too. I don't know.
I just think, well, right now we're just kind of dealing with things as they happen, and I wish if we had another 1 or 2, we could be more proactive and actually follow up a lot more than we have time for,
Okay.
and maybe hold off some of these major crises. So.
Yeah, because that's, I mean, with police, you're like, hey, we're gonna see what we can try to head off, but if you don't have enough, then then you can't make it happen. So even at this lower level of these kids, when they're so like needing something like this,
And those are the 2 hardest ages. I always try to tell them it gets better.
yeah,
It really does. 7th and 8th grade's so hard.
I don't.
Nobody would ever go back in time to 7th and 8th grade.
I agree with you. I will go back to high school.
People
but I
will go
would
back
not-
to high school,
yes.
maybe college, but they would never choose 7th or 8th grade. You're like, yes, let me go back to awkwardness,
Where everything was
hormones,
changing
and
and I
everything was horrible.
And I can't. My knees hurt for no reason. Get out of here. Yeah.
I didn't know who my friends were, what I wanted to do in life.
Yeah. It was a little easier for me because I went to a small Catholic school, Our Lady of Lourdes, and we had 13 kids in my 8th grade.
Oh, wow.
So it was a little easier because we all knew each other so well. We could navigate it a little bit. And it wasn't like we were basically all friends with we were friends with everybody because we had to be. We were
Right.
with each other all day.
Wow, that sounds nice.
Yeah, it was nice. There was still fights and there were still things, and I just hold on to things so much as far as like, man, I wish that thing I said in 1997. I wish I would have said that thing, you know.
And nobody probably remembers, but you do.
No, these awkward times, like you said, or just weird things I did, or why did I wear that, or why was my hair that way? All this stuff. You're right, 100%.
Totally.
I would not go back to junior
No,
high, even
no.
though I had a good time.
Right.
I'll be not awkward.
Right.
I don't want to do that.
Nobody wants to be awkward.
No. Have you, when you first started at Perrysburg as a gym teacher, were you also a coach, or was that something you did when you came
No,
back?
I coached as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
What, track, I'm assuming?
Well, believe it or not.
Volleyball?
No. So, no. So in the interview, they said, hey, will you coach? I'm like, absolutely. Coach anything. Oh, I'll coach anything. I was hired as a cheerleading coach.
Yeah.
Yay! I had no idea what I was doing. The football coaches loved me, though. Actually, I think Bob was one of the football coaches at the time.
Okay.
I made them run,
Oh, yeah.
and do calisthenics. And when I was a gymnast early on, so
Okay.
I was like, okay, I can do the gymnastic part until I figure out everything else. So we were doing gymnastics and running, and because I was a gym teacher, we did quizzes every week.
No way.
Yes, on football, offense, defense, they had to know all the plays. They're like, all the football coaches were like, we love this lady. And I was like, if they would get a cheer wrong, they'd turn around, I'm like, it was offense. Sit down. And they were like, yes.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I did cheerleading for about 4 years.
Oh, that, okay. All right.
Yeah,
And then,
it was fun. I mean, like I said, I like any sport. So it
sure,
was
yeah.
fun.
And you found a way to use what knowledge you had.
Yeah, oh yeah. And we went to camps and they learned their cheers and all
Sure.
that stuff. And actually they became really well because I was such like the drill sergeant.
I always felt that way when I was the throwing coach for the junior high. I would always tell the kids, if you're getting into throwing because you don't want to run, I'm not the coach for you. Because I'm a football coach, and I'm going to make you guys run more than any other throwers that you're going to throw against. I was like, throwing isn't just your arm; it's the entire bodies, and we're going to do all kinds of stuff. And I don't think there was ever somebody that like didn't come back, but eventually they're like, there was probably a few that wasn't for them anymore.
Right.
But so I can see like them like, what is this? I went cheerleading, not quizzes. I'm not a coach.
Like, why do we have to take these quizzes?
Yeah, that's awesome though. That's cool.
But it was fun, and I really enjoyed the kids anyway. But
Yeah. So when you got back, you jumped into coaching track?
I did cross country first at the junior high,
okay. Right.
and then I did track at the high school with H way back when. And then when I had my kids, that's when I quit, and then I stayed home. So I returned back when I think Taylor was in 8th grade.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
All right.
Yeah.
When was way back when you first started?
1992.
Okay. So you weren't there when I was there, because we had all guy coaches at the high school.
Oh, for cross country?
For track.
For track.
But I don't remember. Oh, you coached cross country, you said.
At the junior high when I first started.
But track at the high school?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We had all guy coaches for track.
Well, didn't you have Miss Snow for a while?
Not that I remember.
Not when you were there. Okay.
No, and I didn't go to that junior high.
Oh, okay.
I moved when I was a freshman.
Okay.
So yeah, we had Mr. English, Mr. Liller.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Harvey.
Oh yes. I coached with him.
Did you? I love Mr. Harvey.
Did he always have those red hots in his pants pockets?
I remember
Fireball.
Mr. Keel had fireballs all the time.
And then he would have red hots.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I just remember
they were fun to coach with.
I loved when people would put a fireball in their mouth and then take it out because Mr. Keel made you put another one in. Then you had to put 2 in, and if you kept because if you took it out, it was too hot. He was like, "Oh, you got to put." If he saw you, then you were penalized.
Okay.
But yeah, it was so much fun with all of them.
Oh, it was.
I talked a little bit about it with Mr. English when he was on here. My favorite thing to do, because H was my coach, so we'd obviously talk all the time, and when we go to invitationals, and he'd coach me there. But my favorite thing is all the coaches would be in one spot up in the bleachers, and whenever I threw whatever. One I specifically remember at I guess I don't specifically remember.
But it was Oak Harbor when they would stand up at the very top and look over.
No, it was Sandusky. We went to Sandusky Relays.
Sandusky Perkins, yeah.
Yep, and then I won it, and I beat the record for the meet, so I was going to be in the program the next year. But I threw 52, and I went up and told all those guys, and I was so excited, and they were excited for me, and I was excited to see my name in the sheet the next year, and then we didn't go. So,
oh, you didn't go?
No, we went
Somebody should have driven there.
We went to a different one. But I like just at the end, because as a thrower, you throw at the beginning, and then you're done, and you do whatever.
Right.
To go up there and hang out with them, talk to them. They liked, we talked baseball all the time because we all liked the Indians at the time, and so it's fun to do all that extra stuff because they weren't my coaches, but I got to talk to them a lot.
Yeah, that's fun.
So I can't imagine, the limited time I was able to help H. Like it was really cool to help my coach who who coached me, and to see him coach still, and but to coach with all those other guys too, it was probably a lot of fun.
So I came in when Coach Liller left.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was there with English for a couple of years and Harvey for a couple of years. But then it changed right after that. Like, kind of changed. H and I were the only original ones that stayed. So, yeah.
There's been, it was, that was a while ago now, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. How long have you been, because you're the girls head coach? Mm-hmm. How long have you been the girls head coach?
Well, I think I was assistant for 3 years, so probably like 10, 12 years for the head coach, but I was assistant for like 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
Before that, I'd have to look at the dates, to be honest.
Yeah. Is that when you were assistant, did you decide like, okay, if there's an opportunity, I'm going to be the head coach, or was that something you're like didn't really think about until it came about?
I really didn't think about it until it came about, and then I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I should probably do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it hard to have? I mean, because I know you do your one. You still do your
I still
events,
do the boys
right?
and girls sprints. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, as much as I love it, it's a pain.
Yeah.
It really is. The buses, not the buses, they're short. Yeah. I mean, it's not, and I have to put in all the events. Mm-hmm. I mean, all the assistant coaches, give me but I'm still the one that has to put it all in. Yeah. It's just so much stuff on the computer, but it's still worth it at the end.
Yeah, because you're looking for that PR or that excitement from someone, and all that stuff makes, like you said, makes everything worth it.
It does.
But it is a pain.
It really is.
That was the one.
All those forms, the final forms, because they all go to you, and then if there's any complaints, it always goes to the head coach. So I'm like, oh, okay.
That was the one. When I was the freshman football coach, I didn't have a lot of paperwork, but it was at the time we were still collecting physicals. So I'd have to collect those. But other than that, like even I think Coach Kriegel would manage final forms. Then he would say like, hey, someone doesn't have something, so can you get it from him? But I was shielded from that a little bit. Yeah.
Well, thank heavens we have it all electronic now. Mm-hmm. But I still have to harp on them. Hey, final forms, yours is still red. That means you have to turn something in.
Yeah. And you just want to coach. Tell them, I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Well, you know how it is. Like the first 3 weeks, picture day, uniform day, so until the meets start, it's like, and then once the meets start, you're like, okay, I can relax. I can kind of enjoy this instead of all the nonsense that you have to go through.
What do you think your favorite part of a track meet is?
I don't know. I like it. I like it all, obviously. Well, if we win, it's obviously at the end to get the trophy and stuff. But
the one thing I always stuck around, but there was always like if the boys won something, there was like 8 boys there to like celebrate the trophy because everyone just went home. Is that still a thing? Do people still go home?
No, I think we do a really good job. They all stay around. Okay. It's actually pretty nice because of course we have the monstrous team, and then everybody gets mad. We all run out there, but
that's how it was when I was in junior high coach. They're like. Everyone hated when Perrysburg went somewhere because we took 3 buses. We have so many kids that run. The meets go forever. Yes. I was like, I don't want to. Other schools are like, oh, Perrysburg's here.
Oh, I know my favorite moment. So
nice.
on the 4x4 is at the end. So everybody else that is done, I just love watching the kids. They just line up all around the curve, and they're just screaming. And so to watch them cheer on their teammates, that's so cool. Yeah. That's so fun.
That is one thing that looks. Not just a 4x4, but just having to hand off a baton looks so difficult.
Yeah.
I did it one time. I think it was Sandusky relays. We had a big guy relay race or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I actually did it that one, and we actually had to hand off a shot and run with a shot.
I know they don't make them do the shot anymore, just a baton.
Yeah. And then I was actually in a legit 4x1 team, and having to practice those and. They are very difficult.
Yes.
And if you're not on it or you're not practicing a lot, and if you're really good at it, it can help immensely. Just that little bit.
Oh yeah, I tell them we don't have to be the fastest team, but if we can get these exactly on and time it up well, use the fastest runners in the best spots. You can win. Yeah, that's fun. Our girls throwing team, they won. That was so exciting at the Whitmer relays, at the Nancy Ermy relays. Our girls throwing team won.
Oh, did they?
But they had to use a baton. But yeah, they won. It was so cool.
Nice.
They crushed everybody. It was so fun. But we practiced hard. We wanted to look,
Yeah.
they're like, we want to look legitimate. We don't want to
Yeah.
look like we don't know what we're doing. So they literally practiced for several days.
Setting tennis balls or chalk marks.
Oh, they were going off of the lines.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's it was when I did the legit one, it was fun to be a part of. I remember I was reaching out, I forget who I was handing it to, but I was reaching out and I handed it off, but my reach was overextended and I got it to him and I just wiped out, flipped around. But I looked up, I was like, hey, he still has it. We're going.
There you go.
Yeah, that's all that matters. I just remember H probably, I hurt my hamstring so bad, but I didn't want to tell H because he would have been so mad at me. Why'd you run a 4x1? But I was okay, but it hurt for a few days.
Oh, I'm sure. That would have been fun to watch, I'm sure.
It was fun to do because, people you always look at certain people who do sports like, oh, that kid can't be fast or he can't jump or whatever. And I just liked always proving people wrong about that kind of stuff. Whenever we would play football, like growing up, they'd always stick another big kid on me, and it only took like a play or two to realize, oh, we can't put the big kid on him because he's fast.
Right, so, it doesn't matter.
He looks big, but he's not. He doesn't run. Now I probably can't run, but I'll hurt myself for real.
Run after your kids.
That's all I gotta do. Now speaking of my kids, we got my son his first phone. He's going to HPI next year, and the times, like, he has to catch the bus a whole hour earlier, and there's not gonna be adults there. And he's going to get home before I do. So we just want to know, like, check in and stuff. So then we got my daughter a little watch. It's a kid smartwatch. It's called a Gizmo.
Oh, I haven't heard of this.
It's really cool. You can only we program the numbers I can call her.
Smart.
This is her first day. If I look at my phone, she's probably made 40 phone calls today.
Just practicing, Dad.
And she doesn't even have all 9 numbers. She only had like 4 numbers in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
10 times for each person.
Oh, she was so excited. Can I call Mom, see where she's at? You know where she's at. She's upstairs. You know.
Right. Well, I'm not sure. She might be in the backyard.
Oh, she was.
Oh,
it's so
awesome.
funny. It's so funny.
They should make it a law that only all the way up until you're 16 you just have those kind of watches.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Yes. No, and can't take any pictures.
Yes, I told my wife, I go, can you imagine all the stupid pictures that's gonna be on Mateo's phone right now? He went to his friend's house tonight. I want to look at his phone just to see all the pictures they took.
Here's my toenail.
Yeah, look at this is the pizza I ate. Although I guess we do that too. Look at our food.
I know. Adults are just as bad.
Yeah. Well, before we go, I want to say one more thing. I went for the Northview head coaching job when it was open for football, and you and your husband John. Were a big reason why I even got an interview because I asked them in an interview, like, why'd you pick me? There was 8 people to get interviewed.
Okay.
I said, why'd you pick me? And he's like, oh, no one's ever asked me that before. And he's like, well, besides your references, I can call you references. They're going to say good things about you, but I know a lot of people. And he knew John. He knew your husband. So then I don't know if he talked to him and you, but it sounded like he talked to you about me.
Yeah.
And I just want to appreciate that because even though, like, oh, I don't want, he might be going to another school or whatever. I think that was the only reason I got an interview because you guys talked so well about me and among other people. But I do appreciate that because it meant a lot just to go through that experience, just to know that what I'm doing, regardless if it's football, track, whatever, people are noticing and people appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm very glad, and I meant it honestly. Because maybe people don't know, but Scott and I have used you to help mentor some people at the junior high, and we just really think a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so.
Well,
yeah.
I appreciate it.
So it's not just coaching, but
sure,
obviously coaching.
Yeah.
I know you from coaching, but it's those other things too that make it special. Yeah.
And those are some of my favorite things to do is go to the junior high, talk to kids, and do that kind of stuff. And if there was some way I could still do that kind of stuff. I'm getting far along in my career now where it doesn't make sense to go backwards, to try to do all these other things. But that's why I like doing it after hours or talking to the kids at practice or whatever, because I still like to do that part of it.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. And thanks for coming on the podcast.
Oh,
this was
thanks
awesome.
for inviting me.
Yeah. I appreciate, like I said, everything you did and for coming here and for helping kids tell your story, helping kids because they might not always say thank you, but I know like at some point they're gonna realize what you did for them, or even if it was just they listen to you, and it's going to help them all along the way. So
Right. Well,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yep.
I hope so. That's why I do it. So
yeah.
Just what's the old saying? Be what you needed when you were a kid. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be what I needed and be for them.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's great. Well, thank you.
you're welcome.
Thanks, everybody, for checking out this episode of the Nerd Ball Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're hearing this, on any of the podcatchers. On YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We're coming at you 2 times a week now, audio and video. Check us out on all the social medias. Just search the Nerd Ball Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're out there. Gmail is the nerdballpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to shoot us an email, we'll be happy to get back to you. Thanks to Real JP Multimedia, Cuttlefish Graphics, Perrysburg Junior High STEM Lab, and Big Daddy Graphics for helping out the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.